Hello again to this video clip series, My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. In this video clip we'll begin a new topic, a new theme, actually another meditation that was given by the Mary Mona priest, and the title of this meditation is The Subtle and Powerful Attack on the Eucharist. Since I had, as I had mentioned in some of my earlier video clips, I had spent 10 years helping the neo-catechumens here in Perugia until I discovered that their Mass was not approved and they refused to obey the Pope. So I left, I went away when I discovered that. And so anyway, what I did, this particular meditation, when I published on the internet, I sent this meditation to many of the people in the neo-catechumenal way at Perugia about how they destroy the Eucharist, because they're doing exactly the same thing in the neo-catechumenal way to destroy reverence before the Eucharist and so on. So I had written on the internet and the email that I sent to many members of Neo-Catechumenal Way, I sent them this. I said to them in the email, I said, after having served you for 10 years, celebrating 2 Holy Masses with you every Saturday evening, as well as many penitential celebrations, I would like to offer you a meditation offered by a priest, Pierre Laurent Larocque, a French priest, to over 200 priests and over 10 bishops during the international spiritual exercise of the Mary Mona priest at Colle Valenza in June 2015. You might consider this meditation as a continuation of my article that I had sent to him before with the title, The Neo-Catechumenal Mass. I might also add here that this priest, Laurent Larocque, I would say basically almost maneuvered to, after the death of Don Stefano Gobi, he was basically the first one elected as the superior after Gobi went away, and he pushed to get the statutes passed, which Our Lady and Don Stefano Gobi did not want. And now he totally refuses to consider the possibility that in the last 10 years, the Vatican has been promoting in encyclicals in contrast with the truths of the Church for 2,000 years. He doesn't want to. He refuses to talk to anyone who's not in agreement with himself. And anyway, but he did. I'm quoting his meditation here because it was a good meditation on the Eucharist, but I just wanted to add that he now totally refuses to talk to anybody who says we have to follow the truth, and the truth comes from God, not from the Church. He refuses to talk to anybody who explains this. So now I'll begin with this meditation. Again, the title of this is The Subtle and Powerful Attack on the Eucharist, a meditation by this French priest, Father Laurent Larocque. Okay, his first point is Jesus in the Eucharist. He says, in my circular letter, 2014, because he was already elected in 2014. This is a meditation 2015. He said, I said, picking up the thought of Don Stefano, that we are facing 4 problems against Jesus in the Eucharist. Problems that can also be called attacks against Jesus in the Eucharist. Real attacks and not just problems in the times in which we live. Number 1, against the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. Number 2, as a result, against the signs around Jesus in the tabernacle marked by great negligence, and against the times of public adoration of Jesus in the Eucharist in the monstrance marked by great scarcity. Number 3, against Holy Communion in the state of grace, with the growing spread of communion in the state of mortal sin. thus committing sacrileges against Jesus in the Eucharist. And finally, number 4, very subtle but very determined against the sacrificial nature of the Mass. In counterattack, Our Lady in her book, to help us be the little flock of the faithful in the true faith in Jesus Eucharist, accomplishes, I think, 3 things. 1, she opens our eyes to this crisis in the 4 areas. 2, she gives us the solution with her 3 beautiful Eucharistic messages of incomparable beauty. As Don Stefano used to say, the solution is adoration, the awaiting for the return of Jesus in glory. And of course, number 3, she opens our heart to hope, making us realize how close the return of Jesus in glory will be also, and is very logical, the glorification of his real presence in the Eucharist. In counterattack, in these 4 meditations, he continues, Father Laroque, I take up again with you these 3 aspects. For over a year, I am traveling around the world with great joy to talk about these things, and I was able to deepen more and more, quoting almost always the same messages. First I quote and then I comment. The first point here is the real presence. So here he takes a message from the Blue Book, and here's a message of Our Lady. She says, "My motherly heart is once again torn to see how widespread, even among priests, are the doubts concerning the divine presence of my Son Jesus in the mystery of the Eucharist, and thus indifference towards the sacrament of the Eucharist spreads. Adoration and prayer are snuffed out, and the sacrileges of those who approach it in a state of mortal sin increase day by day. Alas, even among priests, the number of those who celebrate the Eucharist without any longer believing in it is increasing. Some of these deny the real presence of my Son Jesus. Others would restrict it to be the time of the celebration of the Holy Mass, and still others reduce it to a presence that is merely spiritual and symbolic. These errors continue to spread despite the fact that the doctrine has been clearly reaffirmed by the magisterium, especially the Pope. The time will come when, unfortunately, this error will have even more supporters, and in the Church, the perfume of adoration and of the Holy Sacrifice will be, as it were, extinguished. And thus, the abomination of desolation, which has already made its way into the Holy Temple of God, will reach its culmination." This was a message of December 24, 1977. And then he takes this phrase, he says, "Some priests deny the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist." And here's Father Laroque's comment. He says, "They have become Protestants, even though they still have a place in the Catholic Church. Others, more subtly, believe in the real presence, but only for the duration of the Mass. The other day in Costa Rica, I was there to give a meditation in front of a group of apostles of the movement, and one of the nuns who accommodated us and was listening, she got up to give her testimony. There's a type of prayer group which could also be a powerful movement in the Church, which really gives the impression of being in this case. It seems that they never need to celebrate in a church, and even if they celebrate in this chapel where the Blessed Sacrament is, it does not seem that they take it into account. They bring their table, which they put before the altar. They carry their own type of unleavened bread, and at communion they always consume everything without ever having a reserve of consecrated hosts to be placed in the tabernacle. Not only do they never make use of the tabernacle, but even if there is one, the nun must repeat to them, 'Look, here's the Blessed Sacrament. Please, a minimum of gestures of attention.' Open your eyes, my brethren. I said to the faithful a little bit everywhere, because it truly seems that this way of doing things is spreading a lot throughout the Church. that seems to correspond to the heresy of which Our Lady is speaking about. Some reduce the real presence only for the duration of the Mass. I will end this video clip here. May God bless you and Mary guide you.